right, it just takes 1 second. I'm almost ready. Hi, this is Sally Flaschberger from the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. It's another Living Well Wednesday, and we're here to present on BPDD's Partners and Policymaking program. We're excited to have several of the people from the program here to present. I am one of the co-facilitators. My other co-facilitator is Lynn Breedlove. We also have Jenny Neugart from our agency. She helps facilitate all the application process and all the little details that we need to get going with partners. And then we have Sydney. She's a self-advocate who participated in the program several years ago. And also Shannon, who just participated in our last partners class. So we're going to hear all about partners. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to get us started. He's kind of going to give us the history and lots of good information about partners. So take it away, Lynn.
Good morning. Thank you, Sally. As Sally said, she and I are the co-facilitators for Partners now. And I would say that Partners is probably one of the most exciting things that I've been involved in the disability movement. And it's pretty much been the last 10 years in Wisconsin. And I'd say if you look back at that period of time, this is one of the most amazing things that's happened in Wisconsin during that period. So it started, the whole idea of Partners started in Minnesota in the 1970s. It wasn't available in Wisconsin at that time or any time since until it started in Wisconsin in 2012. It's available in a number of states, not just Wisconsin and Minnesota, but I'd say there are some unique features of the way we do it in Wisconsin. We're very keen on making sure that people are ready to hit the ground running in the legislature by the time they graduate from Partners. So we spend a lot of time on messaging and how to get to know your legislator, how to influence your legislator, how the legislative process works, how a bill becomes law, how the state budget works. And we make sure that people are really solid on that. And by the end of Partners, most of the partners have actually met their 2 state legislators, and some of them have already started to get on a first name basis with them. So they're sort of over the hump already by the time Partners ends, and then it's pretty easy for them to go on and keep working with their legislators after that. One of the reasons Partners started in Wisconsin is because Beth Wadeen became the director of BPDD, and she personally believed this was a really high priority and that we were long overdue to have it in Wisconsin. So she immediately started planning and budgeting for having Partners here. And one of the things that she was insistent on was that Partners would be a mix of family members and self-advocates, which it wasn't that in the early 70s, but it has become that in most states now. And that turns out to be one of the best features of Partners. And what we've noticed is people learn from each other. Family members, parents of young kids, a lot of them haven't ever had a chance to get to know any adults with disabilities. So their vision of the future for their kids is a little fuzzy, but in Partners, they really get to see what it's like for people to move out of their family home, live on their own, get a job. And so that's really powerful for them. But self-advocates are also learning from parents too, in terms of what that's like. And we really encourage self-advocates and parents to go out there and team up on legislative visits and do advocacy together, because we discovered that's a really powerful combination. So we bring in, Jenny's going to tell you more about the number of sessions and how we do it, but we bring in great speakers, some from Wisconsin, some from outside the state. We do a lot of videos. It's a very lively format. There's a lot of small group discussion, large group discussion, a lot of interaction, a lot of opportunities for people to get to know each other during the time. And there's a lot of things that people learn about. I mean, I already mentioned legislative advocacy, but also people learn about social capital. They learn about progressive models of disability services. Some people come from parts of the state where they haven't really seen much in the way of integrated employment or inclusive education or supported living. So we want to make sure people are aware of those things so they can advocate for them. We also talk about media strategy. We have a little bit about community organizing. So if people want to go back and organize action in their community, they'll have some ideas about how to do that. So finally, I would just say Partners grads, now that we have over 200 of them, they have now become some of the most prominent leaders in our state. And you guys are going to hear from Sydney and Shannon. I mean, they're two examples of that, but there are many, many partners now who have become really important voices in the legislature. Some of them have run for office and state task forces, advisory committees, councils, or at the local level. So now when you look around Wisconsin, you see things that are really happening in the disability movement. If you look behind what's happening, you'll often see 1 or 2 or 5 Partners grads doing it. For example, they started the Save Iris organization, which turned out to be a very powerful force in the state legislature. So it's very exciting when you see what's happening, and now it's all over the state. It's not just South Central, it's not just Southeast. We've got Partners grads from Superior and Ashland and Hudson and all over the place. So I'll just leave it there. If you guys want to do questions now, Sally, or later, either way, I'm going to stay on the call. So
Sure. There's I don't see any questions yet, but sometimes as we go throughout, so I'll be sure to loop back to you. And I'm going to turn it over to Jenny to kind of explain the application process and just some more of the fine details.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. So yeah, Lynn gave a really nice foundation for the importance of partners and how they are so important in our state for getting things done. So but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts and what you're actually signing on for. So we are taking this opportunity with the pandemic to go virtually. And it's actually been kind of exciting because there are a lot of people, especially self-advocates, who have difficulty with transportation, where that's been kind of a barrier for them to participate in the past when they had to come to Madison for 6 sessions. So we're actually thinking this is a great opportunity for some people who've never been able to do it before to participate virtually. So we're going to do it via Zoom, just like this. And we're going to do 8 4-hour virtual sessions. And then we did plan 2 in-person, like day-long sessions in Madison, because there is a nice piece there of being at the Capitol and talking to legislators and lobbyists and staffers. If it is deemed unsafe to do that at that time that we're looking at March and May, then of course we'll just make those virtual. But if it's possible to do it and we can get back to that, we'd like to have a couple dates in person so people can still meet each other face to face and build on those relationships even more. So these sessions start in October and they run through May. It's about every 3 to 4 weeks to get all the sessions in. It's very important that when people sign on for Partners that they attend all the sessions because one session really does build on the next. And things happen beyond people's control, we understand that. But if you look at the dates and you already know that 2 of them don't work for you, it's going to be better to wait for next year because you will miss a lot by missing one session. So that's one of the things we ask people to do is sign on for all the sessions. As I said, we will use the Zoom platform, which seems to be the platform that most people are using for virtual training. So a lot of people are really used to it. We do have a checklist on the last page of the application that asks about people's technology. Like, do they already have a computer and a laptop? Do they have reliable access to the internet? Have they ever used Zoom before? Down to, I don't have any of that. I've never used Zoom. And we will work with people who don't have access to technology or the internet. We're going to work one-on-one to try to get them what they need so that they can participate and do the best we can. We know there's challenges in some rural parts of Wisconsin with access to the internet, period, but we're going to do everything in our power if somebody wants to be part of this to make that happen for them. Ideally, it would be a computer or a tablet. I know some people have used their phone when we were sort of pinch hitting for the end of this last partner session. We ended up we started in person and had to do the last couple sessions virtually. And I know some people did use their phone, but I think long-term over all these sessions, it's maybe not the most ideal, but it could work. Lynn talked a little bit about the mix of people that attend. So we're looking for about 30 participants in each class. That's a good size for people to be able to connect and to have you know, a nice spread geographically and that kind of thing. And then Partners is for parents who have children under the age of 21 or family members. So we've had a lot of siblings go through, which has been a really wonderful perspective. And then, of course, self-advocates themselves. So we typically maybe might have like 20 family members and 10 self-advocates. It varies from year to year, but it's important for parents to hear from different self-advocates that aren't their children, and vice versa, just to get a different perspective. And we've had so many comments over the years about how parents just really thought differently about anything from employment to education, you know, services that they were getting in school, how meeting different self-advocates and those viewpoints of those self-advocates about how they approach things has really just opened their mind. So that mix is a really, really important feature of Partners. The cherry on the top to all that is is a free training. The Board for People with Developmental Disabilities pays for the speakers, the facilitators. When we were at the hotel, we paid for the hotel, transportation if people needed to get there, like bus passes and things. So all of anything you would need to participate, we take care of. One of the other things, so when you start going through the application, and as Sally said, the link to the application is posted in the chat and you can find it on our website. The application goes through core values that we talk about a lot throughout Partners. And it's really important that when you are applying for this, you read those core values and really think about them and make sure they align with your core values. And it's important because everything we talk about is it's inclusive. It's about people getting jobs in the community. It's about people being fully included in schools, living on their own in the community, making sure that they have informed choice so they can make decisions for their own lives. So if people aren't quite there yet or aren't sure about, I don't know, I think they might be better off in more of a segregated work setting, for example, it could be more challenging for you to participate. So we all want to start from the same foundation, and that's what those core values are, and they're all listed in there, like a lot of what I just said, but that disability is just a natural part of the human experience. They have a right to dignity and respect, free from abuse and neglect, those kinds of things. I think there's 8 or 9 of them. We also do homework. So in between sessions, at the end of each session, you'll be assigned homework to do, and Shannon and Sydney might be able to speak to that as well. I don't think we asked you about that, but it's things like looking up a disability like hero, and we provide a list, or you can choose your own. Some and just doing some research on that. Just look up a person, and then we share that with the group so we can all learn about some of the advocates that have paved the way for us. It's talking to your legislator, making sure that you have that first meeting or another meeting with your legislator to grow that relationship. So we go through all those homework assignments, make sure people are comfortable with what's being asked. And of course, facilitators and myself are always available in between sessions and encourage a lot of contact in between sessions with us and with each other to build that relationship. That it is a little more challenging over Zoom, but we can definitely build relationships that way. And then the application itself is really, it's just a series of questions that help us get to know you. So it's just tell us about yourself. What do you hope to get from this? Why did you want to be part of Partners? What are the kinds of things you would like to change? What kind of advocacy work are you already involved in? We do have a question about looking at the core values and having you identify which ones are the most important. Oh, and the application is due September 11th, so there's still plenty of time to work on it. If you have questions about the process, just let me know. If you need help filling out the application, like self-advocates or something, I am free to do that. We could do it over the phone or something like that to make that easier for you. Lynn, Sally, can you think of anything else, nuts and bolts?
No, could you post your email in the chat so people have it just in case? That might be an easy way. I'm sure it's in the application, but if you post it in the chat.
Yeah, it's all over the application, but yeah, I'll post it here too.
Yeah, okay.
I want to add another thing, and that is, you know, for people that need certain unique accommodations, one of the things that Jenny does is work with participants to figure out how we can make it possible for you to participate. So we have overcome a lot of accommodation challenges successfully over the years. So don't assume you're not going to be able to participate based on an accommodation issue. Talk to Jenny first.
I think too, the in-person ones, we're going to do just a day, but again, if we are able to do those in March and May, people who live maybe a further distance away, they can possibly come stay overnight. I mean, so again, we make accommodations for everyone and try to figure out how we can make sure that everyone could attend. And again, we're not going to know, you know, until things move forward, what exactly that's going to look like. But please be sure, you know, not to be worried that you won't be able to attend because it's in person. So, you know, just something to think about. I think what we'll do is, I think we'll move on to Sydney. And Sydney's going to talk about her experience as a self-advocate in Partners. So take it away, Sydney.
The first question was, why did you want to participate in Partners? And I wanted to participate in Partners because I started learning about it when I was at the Wisconsin Youth Leadership Forum, and a few of the staff wanted me to apply. And so after quite a few years, I finally applied. I think I was class of 2018 for Partners. What are 2 or 3 things that I learned at Partners? Well, I enjoyed learning about how one of the classes did the Save Iris campaign, and there was quite a few things that my class of Partners were interested in learning more about and doing something like that with. I also liked when we went to the Capitol and met with legislators and stuff. See. Some of my favorite things about Partners were that you gotta meet other self-advocates from around the state that you probably wouldn't otherwise get to meet. And like every weekend of Partners was learning about something different, and I think I liked the speakers a lot because that was a change in pace. I would recommend Partners to others because you learn so much more information than you would, like, say, taking a class or something, because it's so much interactive and you meet so many people in such a short period of time. And you don't just end Partners and then stop advocating. You continue afterwards, and there's like a Facebook group, and you stay in touch with everyone and still work with legislators and stuff. The policy advocacy things that I've done after I graduated Partners in 2018 is I became president of the Wisconsin Youth Leadership Forum Board of Directors, and I recently got accepted to be on BPDD's board. And I usually do Disability Advocacy Day every year. We just didn't do it in person this last year because of COVID.
So Sydney, this is Sally. When you were going through it, did you meet with your legislators?
We did for Disability Advocacy Day, but I think when
Yeah.
we had Partners, we just met with 2 legislators.
Yep, your own legislators, and that was pretty exciting, right? I mean, to
Yeah.
meet your legislators. That's great. I don't see any questions. There was a question about age, and it for self-advocates, it's 21 and up. So anyone over 21, we generally want to see people out of high school and kind of moving on to living their life after school. So definitely 21 and up. And I'm gonna thank you, Sydney. That was great. I really appreciate it. I don't know if anyone else, if Lynn or Jenny had any questions for Sydney. All right.
No, I mean, you mentioned that question about age. I think we should also point out that we've had people with a very wide variety of disabilities too. So that's important for people to realize.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. It's not right. It's not just one focus. So I think very important. So I'm going to turn it over to Shannon. She's a parent who participated in this year's. So she is going to give her perspective on the program, and she can talk about how we moved to virtual. So we thought it was important to hear about that. Take it away, Shannon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shannon Mattox, or by Mila. There are a few questions that they gave us to answer for you all today. So I'm going to look at my little list here and answer them. The first question was, why did I want to participate in Partners? Well, I'll start by first saying that I have a son, a 9-year-old son, who started being diagnosed with some disabilities when he was 3.5, but he was misdiagnosed originally. And I didn't know what was going on. I heard there was only one person that I heard nationally speaking, even in the African American community, about people with disabilities and special education. And that was the only knowledge that I had. And I just sort of heard that. And I used that when I went in my first evaluation. And I talked to an aunt who was a school principal about that. But other than that, I didn't know anything. I was just sort of winging it and doing the best that I could. Again, my son was misdiagnosed the very first time. And after going through a series of diagnoses and struggling with the school district on a number of different things, I started to realize also that there's a big, and I'm speaking from the perspective of me, African-American woman, there was a big stigma also in the African-American community with people with disabilities. And so, and in the school system, I think that a lot of parents are unaware of what their rights are or how things work. And so I was asking questions and I wanted the best for my son. And when I saw that there were some things that weren't happening as they should, and even some things that were just wrong happened, I started to research. I'm Googling, I'm going to get more evaluations. And I actually met Sally, who you just saw speaking at a training about IEPs. And she came in to help me. And I always tell this story. I saw what she did in this meeting and I was like, what was that? What did she do? It was like she had on a cape. She was a superhero. And I was like, whatever she did, I want to learn how to do that. Because it was so powerful. It was so powerful, and it made everybody in that meeting listen and pay attention. She knew her facts. She knew the laws. There was nothing that anyone could dispute. I wanted, number one, to have the knowledge about that for my own son, but I felt like I wanted to help other people, but it was so much. I didn't know if I could ever get there. So she contacted me about this program, and I was like, of course, if this is going to help me get closer to whatever it is that you did, if it's going to help me help my own son, and if it's going to help with some of the inequities in the disability community, in the special education community, I want to gain that knowledge. So I submitted my application and I got in the program. So that was why I wanted to join. 2 or 3 things that I learned in the Partners program that really stand out for me, and some of my favorite things, Sydney spoke about this, was the great relationships. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but in this program, of course, everyone has spoken about this. You get to meet people from all over the state. And even though I felt like I was so different than a lot of people, or a lot of us are so different, we still had so much in common, either from as parents, or self-advocates, people who are self-advocates, or people who, a lot of people in this program, we're just fighters at heart. We want what's right. We want equality. We want people to be treated equal. We want either ourselves or our loved ones to have the best life possible. So that was what was really good. And we've really, it's just been a year, but we've stayed in contact. We've been very supportive of one another and help one another get resources over time. Another good thing that I got from it, my son is 9, but I got to meet either young people or people who are adults. So it taught me a lot about what life could be like as my son transitions from high school to adulthood. And I heard some of those success stories. So it made me feel very optimistic. I really like that. And then Lynn spoke a lot, well, everybody did, but Lynn spoke a lot about the history during the program. And we laughed, we cried, we partied. It was fun. But I'm telling you, there were days that I could not stop crying. There was a meeting that, in the best way though, because you learn like how far the movement has come. You learn about what people have done for the movement. And, there's a saying that goes, if you don't know where you come from, you can't know where you're going. So with that, it helped me to sort of identify what could come next, or where maybe I could take make my part in this movement, or what's necessary for me to do in this movement next. And we learn how to better educate others, even better educate politicians, because they don't always know what's going on either in this realm. So like to educate them about what needs to happen in your own community. And speaking about what did I think about virtual sessions, a lot of us, we have very busy lives. I'm a mother, I work, I have a small business. I have a lot of things going on. I turned into an advocate over the course of time. So the virtual sessions, although I missed really getting together with people, I missed my new friends, it made it possible for me to go to every meeting. And they were still good. They were still very informative. So, I mean, I think if you have the opportunity to participate, you should. And then you're still going to connect at some point in time in Madison. And then what I recommend, why would I recommend other partners thinking about it? I think that I would recommend you to be a part of this because it's an invaluable experience that you'll carry for a lifetime. If you want to be self-empowered, it's great. If you want to empower whoever it is you're caring for, if it's your sister, if it's your child, it'll help them. It'll definitely help give you the tools and give them the tools also. And it's also going to help open doors, very much so. Since I've been in this program, it's a nationally known program, and they bring in a lot of speakers and things like that, so it'll help open doors. And one thing that one of my spiritual teachers always says is, it's our job, everyone's job, to leave this world a better place than we came to it. So I definitely want those doors open so that I could help and my son could help make this world a better place. And I feel like I'm talking a lot, but some of the things that I've done as a result of being a part of Partners is, as we're in the time where a lot of things are going on, or things are being talked about in the Black liberation movement, or the Black Lives Matter movement, as some would put it. I've been speaking about Black disabled lives at events with that. I've become an advocate with Independence First. I've been helping other parents and other adults and other youth in the disability community, advocating for them, helping connect them with resources. I started to write a book on parent advocacy as well. And I am volunteering with NPS as a special education liaison for families and youth in the district. And as we have moved into this virtual platform with education, I also participated with Wisconsin Family Voices, which is another advocacy organization in Wisconsin, on their focus group this summer about virtual learning and how families experience that, and so that they could report things back to the Department of Public Instruction. And I also participated in a number of virtual planning sessions with NPS for the upcoming school year. And yeah, that's it. And, moving forward, I just really want to continue to help as much as I possibly can and continue to erase stigma in the community and help to better children in special education overall.
Hey, Sally, I want to comment here a minute. It's, I was listening to Sydney and Shannon speaking, and I remember the first day I met each of them. It was session 1 for Sydney's class and session 1 for Shannon. And it's really fun for me and exciting to see the before and after impact of Partners for both of them. It's really obvious to me, Sydney and Shannon, you guys are more confident as advocates now. You're much more effective speakers. I don't know if you're even aware of it, but you're very clear about your message. You're very concise and very direct. And you're obviously both more comfortable taking on leadership roles in Wisconsin. So to me, you guys are kind of proof of the pudding right there that Partners works.
I would just echo that too, especially during these times right now with COVID, and there's a lot of moving parts for families and people with disabilities, and Partners does build those connections. And even, you learn a lot of information and resources, but it also, I think, just gives you some of that ability to figure out how to look for more information and get more involved. And so it just kind of comes naturally. And I think that's such an important piece right now with everything that's happening with COVID, that, there's a lot of different policy things that are happening, and just a lot of social isolation for people with disabilities. So I just think it's going to be a very important year. And while most of it is going to be virtually, I think we have worked really hard to try to build a program that will be interesting and not too lengthy at one time, and to really have interactive discussions. And so we really hope people will apply. And obviously you can reach out to any of us with questions. I'm just going to turn it over to Kaitlin. She's going to talk a little bit about next week's Living Well presentation. I don't see any questions.
Yeah,
and
I'll
Shannon,
just like reiterate the questions that we've been answering in the chat.
Okay,
I
great.
think they're good questions for everybody
Thanks.
to be aware. So it's 21 and older. One of the questions was, do you have to be 21? If you're a self-advocate and you're 21 or older, you definitely can apply. So you don't have to be actually 21. You can be older than that. And we encourage you to do that. And then if you have been a partner before, you cannot be a partner again. So you've gotten all the good stuff out of partners, and we hope that you continue to engage with the partners in your class and other classes, and reach out to that community and learn skills and resources from them. But the partners application is just open to people who have not gone through the program before. I think those are the big questions that we had in the chat on Facebook or on Zoom, and we're on for a couple more minutes. So if you have a last minute question, feel free to jump in real quick. We'll try to answer it. But I am just going to talk briefly about next week. We do Living Well Wednesdays every week at 11. So if you are available to join us, we encourage you to do so either here on Zoom or on Facebook Live. Next week, we're going to talk some more about voting. We did talk about voting previously. We focused a lot on absentee voting, but this is going to be focused more on restoring voting rights, especially if you are under guardianship and part of your guardianship was that your voting rights were taken away. The options that are available to you to work to restore those voting rights ahead of the election in November. So we hope that you join us for that, and we'll definitely hit on some other voting topics as well, making sure everybody's questions about voting gets answered. I do see a quick question about how often partners meet. So I don't know if Sally or Jenny, you want to quickly answer.
Yeah, so Jen, so because it's virtually, we're going to be meeting every 3 to 4 weeks. We broke the sessions into more sessions, so it's going to be 8 sessions. They're going to be 4 hours. They're going to go between a Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning. So some weeks it'll be a Friday, some weeks it'll be a Saturday. All that information is in the application. And the program runs from October to May. And then we expect if COVID is better and we can meet in person, we're going to have one in-person meeting. I think it's in March or February, and then the other in May. So those are kind of the specifics around that.
We'd like to do graduation in May. So
yeah.
That's why we wanted to plan that one in person if we can, so everyone can come together and be together for the graduation.
Right. But all those dates are in the application because we want you to make sure that those work for you before you apply. So,
and if we can't do the in-person, we'll still use those dates to do it via Zoom.
Yeah.
So you still want to plan those dates, even if we can't do it in person.
And the one may be a little longer because we would do still the stuff at the Capitol. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Ellie, I see that Chris Patterson is on this call.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could get him to unmute. I was thinking we could give him a minute just to say like something
Sure.
about his partner's experience. And of course, he participated in Partners as a sibling, and I think his sister lives in Indiana, and it might be interesting for you to say a little bit, Chris, about your understanding of the situation, that your sister is experiencing and how that affected you, as a sibling, as well as an advocate.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I just speak on that a little bit. My parents were very big advocates for my sister growing up. And hi, Shannon, a great job. It was so nice to get to know you, and hopefully we can continue our connection. But You know, I think, so as I grew up, it kind of just was embedded in me that my sister was just a part of our family, and my parents helped fight really hard to get her in a school. So it was a different time. It was, you know, 70s, 80s, so early 80s, where a lot of things that we have now weren't. Like, there was true advocates going out to change rules and allow for people to be in schools. As we grew up, we actually were in different, we were in different elementary schools, we were in different middle schools. When we started high school, she was at a different high school than me, and it wasn't until I was a junior in high school where we went to the same school. So that was, you know, just kind of having that background made me interested in partners. And I've been in the field for a long time, but I will say I thought I knew a lot, and partners really made me take what I know and apply it to do some action. And one of the scariest things for me, I don't want to say scary, but intimidating things, was just reaching out to legislators and meeting them. And after I did it, it just became a lot more comfortable. And I've actually done so since partners, and we just ended, but with the COVID bill and things like that, I've reached out to my representative, my legislators since then, to advocate for more help in our field because of COVID. So it just was really impactful, and I knew a lot. And then just hearing other people's perspectives, like somebody said, there's people from around the state, so we're not all in the same situation, and just learning about that. You know, on a personal note, my sister has been affected a lot from what's going on now. She's lived on her own and has her own apartment, but she hasn't been there since March because of COVID. So just trying to continue advocacy for that. And what also was interesting, Lynn, was I believe there was one session where we had somebody come in from, was it Georgia, somewhere down south at Georgia, and how much different it was, and how much better Wisconsin's partners class was, and what we did. I can't remember what state they were from, but somebody came to join, and they went through theirs. Jenny, do you remember that?
I think it was Oklahoma. I forgot. Yeah, they were a coordinator for their partners program and wanted to see how we did ours. Yeah.
Right. And you know, and my mom actually had went through something similar in Indiana years ago, and it didn't sound as involved. So like it actually this partners class, you actually do it, and you make stuff happen. So I would encourage anybody, and you also learn how to do it. It's not like you're just thrown in the fire. You have people along the way, and you learn the skills on how to do it and how to do it correctly, and it just was great overall.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, that's excellent. I really appreciate that. I too was a partner at one point, and I, at the time, was working for Disability Rights Wisconsin. So I thought I knew a lot too. And I want to tell you, I learned so much that I didn't know about the disability movement, and really how to be a good policy advocate. And so, you know, it's really invaluable, the experience. And I think the most important thing, like Jenny said, is this is an opportunity for not only self-advocates, but also family members who would find it difficult to maybe come in person and maybe haven't applied because of the commitment of having to be gone overnight. So this really is an opportunity, I think, for a lot of folks out there to apply. So we hope you will apply. You'll let us know if you have questions. We'll be sure to repost this. So if you've seen this and you have somebody you want to share it with, please do, so they can get a good understanding of the program. We appreciate all our speakers. Just if there's any final comments, happy to take those, and if not, we'll close it up.
I'll just say, I see Shannon Webb's on this call, and she's one of our all-star speakers. We're always happy when we can get on her calendar to come in and talk about integrated employment, because she does it, she knows it, and she teams up with self-advocates who are also employed. So it's kind of a really nice storytelling as well as how-to segment. So if you guys know who Shannon is, that's a little example of the quality of speakers that we get, because we get some great people to come talk.
Sure, maybe let's give Shannon an opportunity to tell us from the perspective of a presenter. That I never thought about that, Shannon.
Well, it's one of the treats that I get to do, you know, with BPDD every year, to be able to meet with the partners group. So I you know, even though it's always on a Friday night and sometimes it's really snowy, that's been my experience, but that's okay. No, I enjoy it, and I really get to enjoy the you know, the type of presentation I give, in terms of, you know, we start with, like the group was saying, kind of a look back over, you know, the evolution of disability employment policy and, you know, what's happened. So like Shannon was saying, we need to know where we came from in order to know where we're going. And you know, so that's what I start with, and then we just talk about some of those best practices, those tips, what families can do, what self-advocates do. So it's not just about, you know, policy stuff, but we really try to make it relevant to their day-to-day lives and their future, and so that they can advocate for what they need. So yeah, I really enjoy being part of the partners lineup. So thanks, Lynn, for the compliment. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, that was good. A good plug for Shannon, for sure. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to stop the Facebook Live.